What did people eat during the Black Plague? The Black Plague, also known as the Black Death, was a devastating pandemic that swept across Europe in the mid-14th century, killing an estimated 25 million people. The plague was caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis, which was carried by fleas on rats. It is often thought that the famine and malnutrition that accompanied the plague contributed to its severity. But what did people actually eat during this time? One of the primary challenges faced by Europeans during the Black Plague was food scarcity. With so many people dying, there were fewer people available to work the fields and tend to the livestock, resulting in food shortages. In addition, trade routes were disrupted, making it more difficult to import food from other regions. The diet of the average person during the Black Plague varied depending on their social status and location. Nobles and wealthy merchants were generally able to afford a wider variety of foods, including meat, fish, and vegetables. Peasants and the urban poor, on the other hand, had a more limited diet, often consisting of bread, porridge, and a few vegetables. Bread was a staple food for most people during the Black Plague, and it was often made from rye or barley instead of wheat, which was more expensive. In some cases, bread was even made from ground acorns or chestnuts, which were cheaper alternatives. However, the quality of the bread was often poor, as the milling process was not as advanced as it is today, and the flour was often contaminated with dirt and other debris. In addition to bread, people during the Black Plague also ate a lot of porridge, which was made from grains such as oats, barley, or rye. Porridge was easy to make and could be flavored with a variety of ingredients, such as honey or herbs. Meat was a luxury that only the wealthy could afford, but even they had to be careful about what they ate. The plague had a devastating effect on the livestock population, as many animals died from the disease or were killed to prevent its spread. This meant that meat was in short supply, and what was available was often of poor quality. Fish was another source of protein, but it was not always readily available. In coastal regions, people could catch fish from the sea, but inland communities had to rely on rivers and lakes. However, fish stocks in these bodies of water were often depleted due to overfishing, so people had to find alternative sources of protein. One alternative was to eat small mammals such as rabbits and squirrels, which could be caught in the wild. However, these animals were not always easy to catch, and many people resorted to eating rats and other vermin that they found in their homes or on the streets. While this may seem unappetizing to us today, it was a necessary source of protein for many people during the Black Plague. Vegetables were an important part of the diet for many people during the Black Plague, but they were not always easy to come by. In some regions, the fields were left fallow due to a lack of workers, and in others, crops were destroyed by the plague or by raiding armies. However, where vegetables were available, they were an important source of vitamins and nutrients. One of the most important vegetables during the Black Plague was the onion. Onions were easy to grow and could be stored for long periods of time, making them an important source of food during the winter months. They were also believed to have medicinal properties and were used to treat a variety of ailments. In addition to onions, people during the Black Plague also ate a variety of other vegetables, including beans, peas, and cabbage. These were often dried and stored for later. Despite the scarcity of food during the Black Plague, people still found ways to make their meals more palatable. One way was to use herbs and spices to flavor their food. Herbs such as parsley, thyme, and rosemary were commonly used, as were spices like cinnamon and nutmeg. However, these were often only available to the wealthy, who could afford to import them from other regions. Another way that people made their meals more satisfying was by incorporating dairy products into their diet. Milk, cheese, and butter were all sources of protein and fat, and they were particularly important for children and pregnant women who needed the extra nutrition. However, the quality of these products was often poor, as hygiene standards were not as advanced as they are today. Alcohol was also a common part of the diet during the Black Plague. Beer and wine were both popular drinks, and they were often safer to drink than water, which was often contaminated with sewage and other pollutants. However, excessive drinking was frowned upon, as it was believed to weaken the body's defenses against disease. Overall, The diet of people during the Black Plague was largely dictated by the scarcity of food and the limited resources available. While some people were able to enjoy a wider variety of foods, most had to make do with bread, porridge, and a few vegetables. Meat and fish were rare luxuries, and people often had to resort to eating vermin and small mammals to get enough protein. Despite the challenges they faced, people during the Black Plague were resourceful and resilient, finding ways to make their meals more satisfying and nutritious in the face of adversity. Thank you for watching. Let us know your opinion in the comments below. Also check out other videos related to history on our channel.